Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Thursday, 27th of February. This is an educational video only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. Nvidia released earnings in the aftermarket yesterday, and after a lot of volatility, it closed more or less unchanged in the after hours trading. So we didn't get any visor. But we were trading around 129.5 around that level, and where we're going to end today, that will be interesting to watch. Will it stay above, or will it be stay below this kind of pivot level here for bullish or bearish? Negative assessment still on the RSI. I think if we take it out, the low stay at 124.40, that candle spike down there, then we could see a sell-off down to around 113 and a quarter. If it can stay above, well, maybe then the 140 level is key to establish a bullish trend. The S&P 500 was unchanged yesterday, still above 5,905, key support. The Nasdaq index up about a quarter, but still above the 20,974. Key support, RSI above 40, and still hasn't closed below the cloud. Dow Jones index, well, tested the support here at 43,373 once again for fourth day in a row. So that is a key support area to watch out for. A close below could spur a sell-off, especially also if it moves below the cloud. But that will be also key to watch here the next few days, or will it bounce off? The 55 moving average is declining, so it's actually pushing it down a little bit. European markets, EuroStoxx50, strong day yesterday, very close to its all-time high, bounce from this rising trend line here, and could push higher. And since we have this little correction here, then we can actually guesstimate where we can move to. And if it takes out the peak, we are already above 786 retracement. If it takes out the peak there at 55.44, then we could see a push above 5,600, 5,620, maybe even higher to 56,665. Here, pre-market more or less unchanged. DAX also a very strong day yesterday. Could be resuming uptrends. We are still in an uptrend, by the way. It was just a correction. We can see how DAX closed just above the 786 retracement. If it takes out 22,935, which I believe it will, well, then we will have a push towards a 23,500 level. However, if it suddenly sees some weakness and takes out 22,226, then a downtrend has established. Euro dollar, well, still in this range here, just below 105.35, and the 100 moving average. It really needs to break above for move towards 106, possibly higher, maybe even to 107 if that can play out. Support at 104, that should be observed. Break back below, that could push it to 103. Sterling dollar slightly trading higher towards or just around 127, but it's not that convincing. But we are above the cloud, we are in a positive sentiment, so I think we could see it pushing higher towards 127, 180, 128. Euro sterling saw some weakness again, very close to test the 82.60.63 support level. If it takes out the lows there the other day, well, what is that? That is around 82 and 82.55. Then we could see a push down to 82 and a quarter. But otherwise, we are in a bearish trend right there. Dollar yen support still here at 148.60.65 around this area here. I did expect a bounce or just a correction before the next move lower, but if it takes out that support here, well, then we are looking at 147.20, possibly lower. The euro yen more or less the same picture really. Support just around here, 155.80, 155.60. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking at 154.40 level. I did expect a little bit of correction, but no, not at the moment. But suddenly it can occur. There's a bit of divergence down here on the RSI. You can see the value is rising, but the market has moved lower. So we should see a correction, but we are in a downtrend. Aussie yen actually pushed lower yesterday and is just above 93.65 support. I think we could see it pushing lower towards 93. We are in a bearish trend, so that is key to watch for that. And finally, sterling yen hovering sideways basically in this range here between 190 and 188. And we need a breakout either way, at least to the downside, then we will see a push lower, possibly to 185. Otherwise, we are still in a correction phase. But we are in a bearish trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and maybe a new lower high, lower low, sorry. Aussie dollar, let's zoom in a little bit. There we are. So Aussie dollar, well, couldn't really push higher here. Now we are back below 63.30. We are back here in this range here. It was actually still in the bullish trend, higher, low, higher, high, and so on. But we are back here below 63.30, and I think I will remove this one. It's basically obsolete now. So a little bit indecisive at the moment, but still positive sentiment on the RSI. No divergence, indicating we could see another try higher, but it really needs to take out to 64. And the interesting thing here is that all the moving averages are declining. So if we see a push below 62.30, well, then a bearish trend has resumed. The dollar Canada hovering around the 55 moving average. If RSI can get back above 60 threshold, it will go into positive sentiment. And if dollar Canada can get back above the 144, well, then we have a bullish trend resuming with a potential to 145.80 area, which is the 61.8 retracement of this move here. Dollar Canada is taking a little bit of breather this morning after spiking above 182 and the previous peak. I think we could see a correction possibly down to 181, maybe a bit lower, 180.50. What we can do, just to have an idea about that, then we can say, okay, this was a very strong move there. Are we going to have a push down to around 180 in a correction phase? It's a very volatile cross really, but it is in a bullish trend, positive sentiment, indicating likely higher levels on sterling Canada. Euro Swiss, well, still in this range here, so I'm moving on to that. I've been talking about for weeks now. Dollar Swiss bounced from the 100 moving average and the support here at 89.15, trying to get back above 89.65. If it succeeds, well, maybe we can see a push up to around 90.5, but there will be some strong resistance in this area here. And I think I will actually add just a horizontal line and say, okay, if we can get back above 90 and 55, then bullish trend could resume. A push below 89.15, well, then we are looking at low at levels down here around 88.5, 88. And finally, the dollar index getting back above 106.42, hovering around this 100 moving average here. Really, it's like, what's going to do? What I would do, I would say, okay, if it takes out 106, 106.04, 106, well, then we will have pushed down to 105.35. We are in a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high, lower low. Will it make a new lower high and then push lower? It could be that what is playing out. Correction unfolding in golds, currently below the rising trend line here. Could see a sell-off down to a 28.55, 54, where we have some support, but it could actually be larger down to around 28.14. However, if it takes out the peak here at 29.56, well, then we are looking at 3,000. But it seems like we are having a correction now, and we have had some warnings. We talked about the past few days. It was stretched. The RSI was showing divergence. You will see the RSI values declining, where the market moved higher. So we are in for a correction. We can also see here MACD. And I don't talk about MACD that often, but it has turned around. So it seems like we do have a correction phase going on here. And here on the weekly, we can see what actually also happened after the triangle-like pattern here breakout, got to the 161.8 projection, and now we have a correction. There is also divergence here on the RSI. You can see RSI value is lower here than here, so it has been quite stretched. Maybe the early warning was silver, that is more industrial metal, but it was testing at 31.25 a couple of days ago, and the 100 moving average. So I have put in a support line here. If it breaks below that, well, then we are looking at 30.5, maybe around 30. If it can bounce off and get back above 33.25, then uptrend is to resume. Copper got knocked back down when it showed some promising signs, but of course, as a consumer, it's a good thing. Because we need copper and everything, but it got knocked down after getting all the way almost up to the 786 retracement, got knocked back down. If it takes out 449.75, well, then we are certainly finding it down here in the area around 440 and lower to the 200 moving average around 435. If it can take out this spike up there from yesterday, well, then uptrend resume, and weekly is still showing us, telling us that we are in a bullish trend, and it could push higher in the future. Crude oil, starting with the WTI, testing that little support here at 68.42. Bearish trend, could see a drop to 67, 66, 70 support area down here. Negative sentiment indicating that, but we also a little bit stretched. But we can see here also in the weekly, we are in a bit downtrend and could see it to the 64s area even. Brent crude oil also bearish. Let's remove this one. We have some support down here, similar to the WTI at 72, but we could see it dropping to around the 70 and 72 support level here. And as we can see also on the weekly, bearish trend and negative sentiment on the RSI indicating just that. The European gas situation, Dutch gas here, just above the 200 moving average, but we are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment on the RSI, and we could see it dropping back to below 40 euros, which will be good for us European consumers. The US nat gas Henry Hub, well, around 390. If it takes out 390, well, then we could be looking at a spike down to 355. Otherwise, if it takes out the peak here a couple of days ago at 418, 419, then uptrend could resume. Treasury yields are declining. We have the US 10-year Treasury yield just above the 200 moving average and below the 428 support. Trying to get back above, but we are in a bearish trend. We could see it dropping to around 415, 410 maybe in this area here. Negative sentiment indicating just that. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see it's also dropping back below the falling trend line there. So that is really something to watch out for. Key will be if it drops back to the 412 here and takes out that, well, then what will happen? Will it then continue lower, or will we see a strong bounce? I think the latter, but for now it seems like we are in at least a bearish trend at the moment. The 2-year 403 support could be tested fairly shortly. A negative sentiment and bearish trend is indicating just that. We have on the European yields, well, still above the falling trend line here, but a setback nonetheless that we have seen here the past few days. Could drop to 240. Key support is 234. If it takes out that, well, then we could see even lower levels. Otherwise, we could see a bounce here from around 240. UK 10-year, I think it will get stuck here between 440 and 465 area. It needs to get back above 465 to establish a bullish trend, and below 438 really to go into full bearish mode. Bitcoin, after breaking this triangle-like pattern here, massive sell-off, taking it down almost to the 61.8 here, but at least down to 82,500. We are in a confirmed bearish trend, negative sentiment, a little bit of a correction here, but I think we'll see another sell-off below 80,000, maybe down to 77,700, maybe even all the way down to support here at the 73,350,000 level. So that's will be a key towards that. I think we are in a bearish trend nonetheless. Ethereum found some support here, 2,300 previous supports there, but could drop lower towards 2,100 area. These spike downs here, that is not unlikely, especially if you also see that sell off in Bitcoin. All right, that's all for today. It was a quick and dirty and short one, and have a nice day and talk to you later.